As you might be aware that the Committee of International Relations, Defense and Security is in the coast. And at the inception of our activities, we are responsible for actually carrying out the oversight role of Parliament in the sectors of international relations, defense and security. So we saw it fit that before we start any of our work going out there, visiting this and that establishment of this and that facility, we need to create a rapport, a coordinating platform and a cooperation platform with our stakeholders. We came specifically to Erongo Region because also one of our appointments, which was a key appointment, was of the naval base. The visitation of the naval base to understand their work and their operations, and also for us to be able to get a good coordinative platform with some of these stakeholders. In the end, it is about us knowing each other. And during the week also, what we have had so far is presentations from various institutions. To be specific now, we have already covered in terms of Home Affairs, Safety and Security, the Department of Prison Services, which is Correctional Services, the Namibian Police, the Namibian Defense Force, the Immigration Officers, the Home Affairs in terms of civil registration and citizenship. On all these, the top level was well represented because you have the Executive Director who came to represent the ministry at a higher level. You have the IGP himself, Inspector General of the Namibian Police, Lieutenant General Joseph Shikongo, and the Namibian Defense Force is represented here by the Major General Petrus Nathinge, and indeed you have Correctional Services that is also represented here by the Deputy Commissioner General of the Correctional Services, that is none other than Martin. So indeed we are a solid force on the ground and going from one establishment to the next to create a rapport, to know what they are doing, what are their functions and roles, and how we can complement each other.
We have seen several ministries presenting their work there. What is the committee hoping to learn or assess through these interactions?
It is to understand their roles, their functions, their responsibilities, to understand also not only that, also their challenges. What challenges are they going through in executing their responsibilities and mandate? What are the achievements that they have so far? Because many times you would hear that nothing is happening here or there. So we made it a point that as a committee, let's go on the ground. As I'm talking to you now, I'm standing in DRC at a police station that is constructed with a coordination and cooperation of a mine here, uranium mine, with the police to the tune of 23 million, constructed within a period of 6 months. So these record projects, they are never somehow, not everybody is actually aware of them. So we decided to come to the ground and also understand how the colleagues are operating. And as a committee responsible for this, how do we advocate further for clear budgetary allocations? How do we monitor on an oversight basis the issue of execution? If you are given a responsibility, are you executing it timelessly? Because at times you would come next year during the time of the closure of the year, the final quarter, no, Ministry X or Y have returned money. Now, without you having been on the ground to understand the drawbacks, the challenges that they are experiencing, how would you then know that which you are responsible for, the oversight role? How would you know how to directly pinpoint where the challenges are sitting? So some of these visitations are aimed at that.
So how does this workshop fit into the broader oversight mandate of your committee, particularly when it comes to national security and foreign affairs?
When you look at the presentations that we have been dealing with so far, it's a holistic approach whereby the security cluster is giving us a clear pictorial depiction of what actually entails the security of this country, from territorial integrity, border security, and of course domestic security in terms of the internal organs that are operating, how they are actually existing and coexisting in a symbiotic relationship, synergically so, within one to the next. We have dealt with, for example, we had a whole tour in one of the best vessels that we have here, going around and understanding our waters. It's actually an experience to some of the MPs. They are like, we didn't know that these are the type of weaponry that we have. We didn't know that this is your responsibility. For example, when you talk of, let me just give a classical example. Our border security as far as maritime activities are concerned, we only have Katima, and then we have obviously the coastline, Walvis Bay, Lüderitz. But again, Lüderitz is not a whole footprint. So the aim is now, Walvis Bay, Swakopmund, the aim is now on the northern of your coastline. When you talk of the areas of Cape Ria, the northern Angola, all these areas, we have been receiving serious reports that there are vessels that come into the northern part of our country during the night, switch off their tracking systems, come and do some illegal fishing in our waters. At times, these quantities that they fish illegally exceed the total allowable catch within the country. So that alone is a serious issue as far as natural resource looting is concerned. So what can we do as a committee to look into that? So what we are now dealing with is an issue where they, the sector, are proposing that they need a calling base. In other words, it's a satellite base of the Navy that will be stationed even at Cape Free or somewhere where we can start something that in case of patrol and some alert, the time of response can be shortened by actually having some footprints in the northern part of our waters. We now, you know very well, Namibia have discovered oil and gas. The coastline, when you go to the southern part of our country, as far as this oil and gas exploration activities are concerned, including even the mining of diamonds, no serious monitoring activities are happening there because there's no naval base. Hence the need for us to establish something as far as that area is concerned. So these are some of the issues when you look at, we dealt with domestic security. The issues of containers, how do they come in? How do you ensure safety and security of this? How are they handling these terminals? How the issue of security is looked at? What are the issues that are finding difficult? One of the issues that came out during the issue of national defense, it's the overlapping authority, the overlapping of laws, whether the mandate of this one ends here, the other mandate ends there, but then there's a silent or grey area in between. How can some of these gaps be closed? So there are a number of things that we are really discussing. Classical example, the CCTV cameras. The CCTV cameras are all over the country. When you enter Swakopmund, for example, there are CCTV cameras all over. Who is controlling this? At which station are they being controlled? Are they all owned by the Namibian police that is given a constitutional mandate to be responsible for surveillance and security? Or are they in private hands? If they're in private hands, how do we actually promulgate a law that will mandate all that to fall within the Namibian police? Because we cannot have systems where everybody else wake up and I'm a security force and I'm running my own parallel security, private securities, and measures are put in place. You don't know who's in control.
Master James, with the gap between policy and implementation, how does your committee intend to follow up on these issues raised here?
We intend to follow up by understanding it. As I'm saying, we came to a project here, a project of this nature and magnitude implemented within 6 months. So what prevents another government entity and institution to do the same? What prevents that? So we need to look into this and how we can align that, how we can share best case experiences. Also, let us not only come to critique, let us also come to understand. And where critique is befitting, we will accord it, because also we cannot allow an issue of underperformance, non-performance, corruption, maladministration, and mismanagement to be the order of the day. So we need to also look into these things and actually align them properly and ensure that in the end, these issues are safeguarded and taken care of in the way that they should be taken care of.
So in terms of international relations, are there any regional or global trends currently influencing Namibia's internal security or diplomatic focus?
No, currently, the security situation in the country, it's at its coolest. We are given a surety and the parameters and indicators that are there. The security forces are really on top of their game and on their toes, ensuring that as a country, we are not found wanting in terms of our laws and responsibilities. And on top of it all, there are no international trends or risks and threats that are directed towards Namibia as is. Of course, we do have issues here and there, but none of those issues are not being tackled or handled by our police. Thus, it means that Namibians be rest assured that your sectors and your parameters are in place and everything else under the sun so far as we are talking is in order, and there is nothing that precludes us as a people to be sleeping peacefully knowing that indeed our apparatus and our system is taking care of us.
So finally, how do you ensure that the voices of ordinary citizens and local stakeholders make it into national level discussion and decision making?
Remember that for members of parliament, all of us are actually under a delegated function. In other words, the sovereigns have voted, and everybody that is sitting in that parliament is on a proportional representation of a specific community, and of course a total number of people that have voted that person to be in that very parliament. And in that way you became the voice, the mouthpiece, the ears of those that have put you there, and including the political parties. You have a manifesto of a political party, you have channel systems and processes that are in place at all the political parties, and the aspiration, the ethos, and all these things that are at that level are being escalated through yourself as a representative of the people. Also, there is a constant rapport and feedbacking system whereby when something like this is happening, the National Assembly have ways of reporting back to the media, most of it through the live platforms of the Parliament of the Republic of Namibia. There's I urge the Namibian nation to be following the pages of the Parliament of the Republic of Namibia, because most of the activities that we cover are live covered there. Secondly, also, through the reports and Parliament discussions and engagements, all these accounts are given as far as feedback is concerned. So indeed, the interests of the Namibian people are safeguarded and they are ensured through some of these platforms.